Welcome to a morning with me. My morning began at around 5:26 when our 12-week-old baby woke up to nurse, and so I fed her, and as I was laying in bed feeding her with my eyes closed, I was thinking, it'd be really nice to go back to sleep. But another part of me was thinking, it would be really nice to be able to think, organize, get a few things done, maybe exercise before the rest of the house wakes up. And so after I fed the baby and laid her back down, I decided to come downstairs, make myself some decaf coffee, enough for several cups, and then I got myself some breakfast. This morning I had some Greek yogurt mixed with a little bit of vanilla protein powder with a dollop of peanut butter on top and some frozen blueberries to go with it. And then I sat down with my planner and I wrote out all the things that I wanted to accomplish this week. I did that in one column, and then I also jotted down things that I wanted to accomplish today, and then I kind of tried to focus on the priority items and the things that I really wanted to accomplish before the rest of the house woke up. So I find with having like a newborn and a toddler and then some other kids also that I need to kind of break tasks up and organize them according to what requires focus and then what requires two hands. And then I try to get those things done when it's quiet or when, babies are sleeping, or I have, older kids or my husband to help with the babies. So I got that done, and that was great. And then I went ahead and I prepared for my writing class. So this morning is kind of a morning of firsts for our family. It's our first morning of our homeschool co-op. We've done it for several years, but we're starting back up for the fall. And so I'm teaching a writing class, and my boys are taking several classes, so I wanted to prepare and review for those things. And then it's also a first because our oldest daughter has begun college, so we dropped her off last week in her dorm. It's her freshman year, and so things have kind of changed. There are changes in our family, so instead of having our 6 children at home, we have our 5 at home, and I wasn't, fully prepared for how sad I would feel, but we do miss her, and she's nearby, so it's not like we're not gonna ever see her again, but it's like this chapter in our life of our family is kind of coming to an end of having our 6 babies in our little nest. And so right now I'm writing in my book. I have this notebook, I call it like my commonplace book, and I keep it in my bedside table, and I like to write down quotes from books that I've been reading where the author has expressed a sentiment that I feel, but I don't quite have the words to express. So I've been reading this book called The Travels of Jamie McPheeters, which has been a really interesting book, and the narrator of the book said this. He wrote, "Another part of our adventure was over, and even then I realized that nothing ever comes back again quite the same. Things roll on. New sights take the place of the old, and the only way you can do it over is remember." And so I had to write that down in my commonplace book because that really expresses how I'm kind of, that melancholy feeling I'm feeling of our daughter moving out. I thought that expressed it well. It's just kind of the realization that this time isn't coming back again. But I know that there are new adventures on the horizon for her and for us too. But I've just dearly loved this season, and I don't know. I just need to wrap my head around the exciting things that are coming with the season that we're embarking on now, and not try to cling to, the chapter that has ended. So anyways, there are still babies sleeping, and so I thought this is the perfect time to get started on dinner. So I'm planning on having a pot roast for dinner tonight. So I thought, what goes better with pot roast than gravy and mashed potatoes? So I'm getting the potatoes peeled and chopped up, and then I'm going to stick them in the Instant Pot and just float cook them all day so that when it comes to be dinner time, that part will be already done. And then I'm slicing up some pumpkin bread that I made earlier, and I'm gonna warm it up in the microwave and then top it with lots and lots of delicious grass-fed butter that's that beautiful rich yellow color, and then a little sprinkle of flaky salt, because that's delicious on all sweet breakfast breads is what I've come to strongly believe. So I guess that's like second breakfast. I was technically heating it up for my husband and for my toddler because I had already had my breakfast, but I was hungry again, so I also had a piece. My son has been, my 10-year-old son has been looking at jokes. He's using AI to teach him jokes, and he told me this joke. It was something about, hey mom, I'm starting the seafood diet. I see food and I eat it. And I was like, that's my diet that I have. So anyways, we can relate on that. And then I thought it was so funny. We got this walking pad. I thought that would be perfect because sometimes it gets so hot in the summer that I feel bad about putting the baby in the wrap and going on long walks because I worry about her getting overheated. And then I also know that as fall comes, cold weather will come with it. And there are some times that it's hard to get out because it's too cold. So I thought maybe the walking pad would be a way to get in a little bit of exercise. So far, I haven't used it very much because I've been occupied with other things. But it is a really fun toy for my son, and everyone seems pretty much into it. I like that it is small enough that I can slide it underneath the couch in our living room so that it can be out of the way. We once had a treadmill, which the wonderful thing about treadmills is you can make them go a lot faster so you can run on them. But they're a little bit larger, at least the one that we have, it doesn't fold down, or, you couldn't slide it under any furniture. And so I just didn't feel like we had the room for it. So we gave it to a friend. And then my oldest son here, he's helping me out getting the baby's buttons done on her back. This plant was given to me as a gift from a friend when our daughter, who is our 5th child, she passed away shortly before she was born. And one of the many kind things that people did for us is she got us this rose bush. And so every time I see a beautiful pink flower blooming, I think of our little daughter Iola. We had roses, pale pink roses at her funeral, and I don't know, they just are so sweet, and I love that they have this beautiful fragrance, and they just remind me that we're gonna see her again, and there's kind of that sweetness in the midst of sorrow. And so anyways, now I'm picking some raspberries. I love growing raspberries. They're one of those things that you really can't mess up, which is the perfect level of gardening for me. The birds will occasionally get them, and that can be irksome, but otherwise they seem to produce pretty prodigiously. And then we also have been getting some strawberries. The deer just cropped down our strawberry plants. I did buy some netting, and I bought some clamps, and they're just sitting in our garage because I haven't gotten to it. But that's the bird prevention system that I'm hoping to employ soon. And then next, we've got these beautiful pink dahlias blooming, and I also had these really interesting green, like lime green zinnias that are blooming. And then I also had almost like a purplish, a deep, dark, blackish purple dahlia that was also blooming. It's like huge. It has a really massive bloom. Like, I want to say it's at least 6 inches across. But I haven't cut flowers in a little while, and that's one of my favorite things to do, is just go outside, hear the bugs and the birds, and just be in the sun and cut flowers from the garden and then arrange them in vases. I don't know. I think one of the joys of summer is just to have blossoms strewn throughout the house, bringing color and vibrancy, and hopefully making our house feel homey and welcome. I always think that, like, when my kids grow up and they look back on their childhood, I want them to feel like our house was like a cheerful, happy house where we were all just enjoying being together. And I know, siblings fight and no one's perfect, but that's what I want them to be able to say, about their childhood. My grandma talks about her mom. Well, she did talk about her mom. My grandma recently passed away, and I remember her telling me a few years ago, she said, my mom, when I was a little girl, she would go outside and she would play hide and seek with me. That's the kind of mom she was. And she just had such pride in her voice when she talked about her mom. Like, she just thought she was such a good mom. And, well, I put flowers in the house. I don't know if I can live up to the playing hide and seek, but I try to. So then later in the morning, my son was leading the campaign for making blueberry pancakes, and so he stood diligently at the stove and flipped the tiniest little pancakes, the little mini pancakes. And then we spent the rest of the morning getting some schoolwork done for our homeschool, and then beginning the process of packing up to head out to co-op. We're trying something new this year for co-op, which is to have only 3 classes and to begin our classes closer to noon as opposed to 9 o'clock or 8:45 in the morning, which we had done previously. And the benefit of this is that we have our Monday mornings home to kind of get our houses back in order and to accomplish our core subjects for the day before heading out the door. And we brought our little baby with us, and she wanted to tell her daddy all about her experience.
Okay. I heard you. Okay. And then you say, Dada?
And then this was a little bit earlier in the week, but I thought it was cool. Down at our local lake, it seems like the city has hired some goats to eat up all the overgrowth around the lake. I thought that was such a good idea. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me for the morning. It was a pleasure to have you. It was my privilege, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I hope that you consider liking this video and maybe even subscribing to my channel. See you next time.